Hello everybody, Bruce here with a short video on getting started with floating and clearing elements directly from pages 202 to 203 in your textbook. The HTML, the finished HTML that we're going to look at is this right here that you see on the screen. And if you notice, we have some content here. Then we have this element here with a border around it, and then we have this footer right here. So let me swoop on in to Visual Studio Code. And the code you can download, it's right in Canvas. And actually I'm going to swoop back over here. And you can download the code right here, the code that I'm using, the exact code in this case. And let's look at the markup where we have an aside, a main, and a footer. Now, what I want you to do is go look up the semantic meaning of an aside and a main and a footer. I think you know what main and footer are, but I want you to go look at what aside is. It can be used as like a sidebar, and sometimes you can actually put an aside in a main, and it's like an aside or a bit of additional information about a particular piece of content. But traditionally, a lot of people use it as a sidebar, and you'll see that in some upcoming videos. So we have an aside. The luncheon starts 15 minutes after the lecture ends. So if you go back here, you can see that's that text that's being pushed off to the right here, or floated off to the right. And then we have the main content right here in the paragraph, and then we have the footer with please call today. All right, so some pretty basic HTML. So let's go into the style sheet and let's look at it. So notice, since we want the page to have a certain width, the body element that is, it's got a width of 550 pixels. Okay, this was covered in the prior module on the box model. Now this is saying make the main and the aside and the footer, right? That's what the commas mean. They apply to all of these things. Margin of 0 and padding top and bottom of 0 and left and right of 20 pixels, right? And now the aside element has a margin of 0 on the top, 20 pixels on the left, the right and left, and 10 pixels on the bottom. So when you have three values like that, top is the first one, right and left is the second one, and the third one is the bottom. Now it's got a width of 150 pixels. We're floating it to the right. It has a border of 1 pixel solid black. Okay, so that is this element right here with the border, the padding, and did we assign any margin? Yeah, margin. It's got, again, it's got none on the top. It's got right and left of 20, and it's got bottom of 10. Okay, and the next element is the footer. And we have this thing here called clear both. Because when you float elements, the elements that are below it in the HTML are going to try to fill in, and I'll show you this in a second, where this float occurs. Because float breaks up the normal order on the screen of the way things get rendered. All right? So check that out. So there's that. So let's do this. If I remove clear both, okay, I'm just going to comment it out. And notice where the footer is now. It's in the space here. You see this right here? If you remember, let me change it back. Okay, let me undo that, save it. Now it's clearing, right, on the left and right. That's clear both. On the left and right, it's clearing this floated element on the left side and the right side. All right? Pretty neat, right? So the other thing, what happens if we do this? What happens if we float it to the left? We float it to the left. You see what happened there? Okay, you see what happened there? And let's play with the margins a little bit. Let's play with the margin. Let's give it, I don't know, let's double it. Let's make it 40 and 20. So you can see there's a bit more margin now. This is the box model from Module 5 coming into play. All right, so You're going to use this a lot in web development. Floats get really ugly, just so you know, and there are other ways to do things, but you'll use float a lot. So if you have any questions, let me know. I hope this helps. Again, this code is from the textbook pages 202 and 203.